Unbelievable! McQueen is fading! McQueen is fading! Fading fast!
What's up everyone, China Cycling here. Today I'm in the city of Shangluo for the Tour of the QinLing Mountains. Shangluo is a city located smack bang in the middle of China, surrounded by mountains on all sides. And the Tour of QinLing is a 2-day stage race here, where they invite a bunch of UCI continental teams to come and take part in the race. So the race is actually not a UCI race, but there are 16 teams invited, and 10 of those teams are UCI Continental teams. This race actually takes place right on my doorstep, just 40 or 50 kilometers away from my home, so I thought not going to it would be a huge waste. So I got in touch with my friends at team Named Sport Panda to see if we get a place on their team for this race. As you guys all know, I'm far from a pro, and this is a pro race, so thanks to Named Sport Panda for giving me a place on their team. Giving me a place on their team meant taking the place away from someone who could actually be useful on the team, so big thanks again to Named Sport for the place. Either way, I'm going to do my best, try to do what I can do, and try to help out the team. But the competition does look pretty tough. Like I said, there are 10 UCI Conti teams, some from the UCI Asia Tour, some from the UCI America's Tour. There's St. George's are here, and Team Wildlife Generation, formerly Jellybean, are here, so some tough competition. It's also super hot. It's 38 degrees here today. I hope that cools down for the race tomorrow, but let's see how we get on. So we know the pros are pros, but let's see just how amateur am I. So this is my power profile for this year. On race day, I was 51 kilos, and so yeah, my 5-second power is rubbish, like 800 and something watts. Not going to be winning any sprints there. 1 minute power, slightly better, so 8.5 watts per kilo, but again, only 400 watts just because I weigh so little. 5 minute and 20 minute power, fairly respectable. So 5 minute power, we've got 5.5 watts per kilo. And 20 minute power, we've got just under 5 watts per kilo. 6 minute power, I've not done a 60-minute climb all year, so that's still down there, but I imagine that would be around here somewhere. So yeah, fairly average for a weekend warrior kind of thing. So coming into this race, I was actually pretty confident. I've done a similar crit before, not quite as high level, but again, like 60, 70 kilos, and the average speed was 46k an hour, 47k an hour. And so I thought, you know, how much faster could this possibly be? And also on a lot better form than I was 2 years ago. So coming into this race, I was quietly confident, especially on day one. One thing I was a bit unsure of was the course. I hadn't had time to recon the course at all. But I'd seen it on the map, and about 7 corners on a lap, including 1 hairpin. But yeah, we're away. And so my team is the orange jerseys with the black shorts. See a couple of my teammates going up there, as you can see. And boom, like 750 watts. And at this point, I'm miles away from a wheel. 50k an hour, and then okay, starting to get into a rhythm, get on my teammate's wheel, and I know there's a corner coming up, but not quite sure where. And again, I'm just thinking, don't crash. I very rarely race, and so not always very comfortable in the middle of a peloton. You can see my teammate, he moved up. I should have gone with him, but yeah, I'm just still pretty nervous. So you can see me go around this corner way too nervously, and again, boom, straight on the power to try bridge that gap, and into another corner. So on my other teammate's wheel now. When I say I'm on his wheel, I'm doing a terrible job of holding the wheel. And again, boom, you have to put the watts down to catch back up. At this point, the adrenaline's going crazy. Every time, I don't have time to look at my Wahoo, but whenever I do, the speed, it scares me. So yeah, 50k an hour. I'll be honest, not super comfortable holding close to someone else's wheel at such high speed. But you can see already the whole pack is super strung out, almost single file going down here. 50k an hour. And again, what am I doing here? Just totally out in the wind, being an absolute nunce. I think one of the biggest difference between pros and amateurs isn't necessarily your fitness, it's also your racecraft. But look at this speed, 57k an hour. Heart rate's up there, 180, 59k an hour, like 60k an hour. It was fast. And again, I know, I try and move up, so yeah, 62, 63, 65k an hour. Just trying to move up because you don't know when a break's gonna appear. And there's no way I'm gonna be able to bridge a gap if a gap appears, so yeah, try and move up. And again, I know we're getting close to the corner, still doing 60k an hour. And I know there's a corner somewhere, so I'm just thinking, oh, where's the corner? Like, I don't want to go hurtling into a corner at 60k an hour. But yeah, this bit I thought was alright. You know, the pack's going a bit slower, so I just use my momentum to move up a bit. And at this point I'm starting to think, okay, this isn't too bad. I can do this. But I remember just around this point, like, licking my lips and just absolute dry cotton mouth. Dry tongue on dry lips. And I was super nervous about that corner, and it wasn't really a corner, just two slight kinks in the road. But again, at this point, I'm not really on a wheel. You know, if I was actually on a wheel, I'd have to be doing so many watts to try and get back on. This blue kit to the right, that's our sister team, Team Ferry, a UCI Conti team. So I'm pretty friendly with those guys, I don't mind taking his wheel. But again, such a bad line around that corner. So conservative. And so when everyone, so this is a slight climb now, this is a slight uphill. And so the pros just light it up to move up the pack. And yeah, I'm pushing 300 watts and still going backwards. 6 watts a kilo and just going backwards still. 7 watts a kilo there. Just to try hold the wheel. And again, usually I'm the kind of rider who's always super aware of where the wind's coming from and exactly trying to stay out the wind and stuff, but the adrenaline or something, it just made my mind go blank. I was goofing around on the left side of the wheel, right side of the wheel. It was pretty bad. This wheel I'm on now, this Monton, Team Monton out of Malaysia, was probably a rung wheel to go with. I followed them a few times throughout the race and ended up getting gapped, but more on that later, I think. When you're in a situation like this is comfortable. When you got a guy to your left, guy to your right, guy in front of you, the wind's a lot better, and you feel, this isn't so bad, I'm going to survive this. And again, I'm starting to get slightly aware there's a corner coming up, but I'm not quite sure where. But I just remember every time I looked down at the Wahoo, like, the red LEDs were on, which, if you're not a Wahoo user, the color-coded LEDs tell you what power zone you're in, and red means, yeah, you're over a threshold. And so I see people freewheeling, I know there's a corner coming up, I don't know how bad it is. And it turns out, oh, okay, that's not actually that much of a bad corner. So again, everyone gets on the watts to close the gaps. And again, here I'm just in the middle of nowhere, I'm not really on a wheel. And again, there's another wheel coming up. Again, I braked a bit too hard because the guy in front of me braked too hard, but he goes moving up and I'm left here on the back. And at this point I hear a motorbike behind me, so I know I'm near the back of the pack, so I'm like, okay, time to make sure no big gaps open up. But again, you know, 6 watts a kilo, 8 watts a kilo. And still going backwards. The guy, literally, you get rode off the wheel doing 6 or 7 watts a kilo. It was crazy. And again, I keep diving from left to right, trying to find the spot out of the wind, but I think just because of the speed, there is no spot out of the wind. You can see there's some flags on the side of the road. They were kind of useful for seeing what the wind was doing. So you can see we're going into a headwind going down this way. And again, I know there's another corner coming up. I see everyone slowing down. You see, at this point I should have moved up, but again, I have no idea how bad this corner is, so I don't want to go sailing down the inside and then someone closes the door on me. And now I know there's a big hairpin coming up, so now I'm super on edge. Let's see how everyone goes into this little, and then off a nice drop as well, and then boom, everyone lights it up to go down the home straight. Again, this time not too bad. I'm close enough to people to get a bit of a draft, but again, there's no one immediately in front of me, so I tried to get on this guy's wheel, and that's a lot better. You can see as soon as you get on the guy's wheel, the power can just go right down. But still, heart rate 190 beats per minute. My heart rate max is around 197, and the speed 57, 58k an hour. And this is lap 1. So lap 1, the average speed was 50k an hour for a whole lap, 7.5k lap. And again, at the front end, there are attacks going on, there are breakaways, but none of my business. I'm just here trying to hold on. But again, here, I'm not really on anyone's wheel. So I've got nice shelter to the left and right, but in front of me, I'm still pushing air. But heart rate's slowly starting to come back down, 182. And again, starting to get aware that I'm coming towards the corner. I was super nervous, super apprehensive of the corners. But now, second time around, I got a bit of a better idea of the corners. But again, I just corner slower than everyone else, which means out of every corner, I'm just having to juice a bit more to get back on. Obviously, everyone, or almost everyone, is a UCI Pro, so no one's doing any stupid lines, stupid cornering, which is nice. Sometimes you show up to a race, people just throwing it up the inside and stuff. And again, so now I'm doing all right. Heart rate's still pretty high, and so this is my mistake here. My teammate moves up on the left. Totally should have gone with him. Like I said before, this wheel here that I totally chose the wrong wheel. And then a gap, and we're all doing 55k an hour. So to close this gap, I gotta go over 55k an hour, and I just do not have the legs for that kind of speed. So all this time, this tiny gap, it looks like a super easy gap to close. I just cannot close it. So every time someone comes around me, I try to jump on the wheel for a bit. It was a super weird race, nowhere near any of my power personal bests. Just couldn't close any gaps, just the legs were not there. Again, heart rate 192, getting close to cucking, I just can't close these gaps. 56k an hour, heart rate 193. 60k an hour, and at this point I know there's a corner coming up, so I keep thinking, I don't need to close the gap, I'll wait for them to go around the corner slower and I'll go around the corner quick and make up the gap. But the corner just never comes. That was a stupid mistake. I was a lot further away from the corner than I thought I was. But look at the heart rate, 195. At this point, these last 400 meters, I've just cucked myself by just pushing air. And again, that corner wasn't even a fast enough corner to do what I wanted to do. So, totally stupid. But at least I find myself on a nice wheel now. But again, as soon as you get on a nice wheel, the speed just boom. 57k an hour, 58k an hour. My heart rate's up there. I tried to do one last dig, 400 watts, try to get back on a wheel. These the gap looks tiny on the camera, just 5 or 6 meters to get back on a wheel, but at the time, it might as well have been 500 meters. This corner was a bit better, I took a wider line and then came out of the corner on everyone's wheel, felt good. But again, this is the hill, so I'm already cooked at the start of this hill. And everyone just starts lining it up. And yeah, this is it now. I know it's get this wheel or good night, and I just can't get the wheel. And then that's basically all she wrote. 11k's in and dropped. Bye-bye. One last dig there, 400 watts, just to see if it was going to happen. Nope. I can hear motorbikes and cars honking at me behind, wanting to come through. And yeah, I'm done. Having nice closed roads and crowds is super nice when you're racing, but when you've been dropped, it's the most embarrassing thing ever. Every crowd I went past, I was just trying to keep my head down. Super embarrassing stuff. And after I got dropped, I was just heading back around to the start, and one of the mountain guys who had been dropped earlier, he caught up with me, and he was like, "Hey, it's nice weather for training, let's just do some laps." So we did a couple of laps together, just taking turns on the front. But yeah, every time I went past the crowd, just trying to hide my face. But did get some nice photos from the photographers, so I guess that's one advantage. So to answer my original question, can an amateur keep up with pros? Some amateurs definitely can, but this amateur, no. However, this time I don't think it was a lack of fitness or a lack of power, maybe a lot more a lack of technique. So we'll see if we can improve on that. One thing that's made this trip a million times easier is this bag from XXF. It's actually made for doing triathlons, but it's got so many compartments and they're all specialized for like bike related stuff, so you can fit in 2 pairs of shoes and all your bibs, etc, etc. I use it for carrying my bike stuff and my camera stuff I use for making these videos, and it works absolutely perfectly. So thanks to XXF for sending me that, made my weekend a lot easier. Link down in the description below if you're interested, and maybe I'll do a more in-depth look at the bag soon. With a big fat DNF next to my name on day 1, it was riding the team bus for me on day 2. So there were actually no individual team cars, but there were a couple of team buses with a couple of Swanyas from each team on each one. I hopped on one of the team buses, and man, one thing you don't realize is how fast a bike can corner. So when the peloton was going around those corners, especially the 90-degree corners in the city, the bus flying around the corners at the same speed, like you were tossed around the back of that bus. So made getting footage a bit hard, but it was still a really cool place to be, right in the middle of the action. Whenever someone got a flat, would pull out over to the side, guys would get out, change their wheel for them or whatever. Just a really cool place to watch the whole race unfold. And of course, lovely air-conditioned bus, which the guys outside, I'm guessing, didn't have. But it's really good to see the level of racing in China going up and up. More of these professionally organized races. The organization was great, like closing down the whole city, and then the convoys, the race radio was in English and Chinese. Everything was organized super, super well. For me personally though, I definitely think I'll be doing some more amateur level racing before I try my hand at pro racing again. But thank you very much to Team Named Sport Panda for having me. Any questions about this video or anything else, let me know in the comments down below. For the meantime, I'm going to stick to reviewing stuff. I've got a whole bunch of stuff to review after the Shanghai bike show. But again, I don't want to just use it for a day and review it. I want to actually use it for a while and see how good it is before I let you guys know the deal. So subscribe so don't miss any of those reviews when they come. Give this video a quick like to help more people see it. And I'll see you next time. China Cycling out.